Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna shoot some bugs. No, we're not gonna shoot boys and girls. That's a different game. That's not this game. So what we're doing here today is we have figured out that we can now also link up the PlayStation to our tower system because Mr. Chucks has graciously allowed us to fiddle around with his gear, which is sweet. It's nice. It's fun. And among the many games available on the service, we came across Earth Defense Force, which is a series that's very near and dear to my heart. I enjoyed quite a bit. And Insect Armageddon was on there, as it is of course within my Steam collection. But the trick is, Insect Armageddon is probably one of the least satisfying entries in the series. Still, I want to give this some time in the limelight for us to see the game, understand it, and see if it's worthwhile at all to play 4.1 later on, because 4.1, like this game, has multiplayer. And that becomes a lot more fun. So what's the premise? As you see, the premise is fairly simple. There are alien invaders. They are everywhere. We should try to save the city, not shoot our friends, not wreck people's cars, and especially not take down the buildings.
I do have one question about this.
What's that?
This is, well, not a question, a statement. It feels like a giant rip-off of Starship Troopers.
Well, yes, of course it does. Because we're fighting bugs. In fact, we're fighting mutated ant robot bugs in this case, because there's an escalation to things. Now, these are not an alien species that has sneezed its way into existence.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me.
This is a species of aliens that are not insects themselves. These are their drones up here. They're using our local fauna as a means of assault against the planet, right? Well, these creatures are really hardworking and aggressive and territorial. Let's make them the shock troops. We have robots and such. We have massive constructs like a War of the Worlds theme. But they would rather use inexpensive shock troops to take care of us instead. Rip-off? Yes, possibly, because the theme of the game's progression is that your weapons suck at first. They're functional, but they can't take on the massive threats that we're facing. You, if you have a character, are a member of the EDF, the Earth Defense Force. And this series has spawned the cry of EDF! EDF! In the face of adversity. The game that I played at first, the second in the series, I believe, was EDF 2017, where you played as a dude named Storm 1 with his bionic hips.
I thought you were talking about the Big Lebowski.
No, not that dude. That dude abides the alien invasion. He does not combat it. He just grooves along with it and plays bowling. He plays the bowling, that's what I just said. You didn't have a class, you didn't have special gear, you just had incredibly pivotal hips that would just turn on a dime. And you would land straight-legged off of bridges, and it wouldn't hurt you. And you got massive health pickups, you had cool weapons to find and to use, but you were just the biggest, ballest man around. You were like the protagonist of the first Far Cry game. No bionic suit for Crisis, no malaria, you were just a guy in a Hawaiian shirt and attitude. Well, in this series, they gave you multiple classes. We're playing the Jet Trooper right now, which is lithe and agile and uses energy weapons that also drain his energy bar on the right. So if he's out of power, he can't reload or fly until the bar restores, which makes him super vulnerable. The upshot, of course, is that you can, well, fly to some capacity, which definitely helps. There's also the Ranger, which is your standard attack trooper with his shotguns, rocket launchers, missile launchers, the widest variety of weapons. You have the Tech Trooper, who is all about turrets and helping out in the battlefield with explosives. And you have the Heavy Trooper, which in the newest game is called Defensor, and is ridiculous as far as what he carries in armaments. But the theme is, big guns, very slow, stands up to all the bugs. Now, what we're playing right now is one of the many missions. I picked it because it was sunny, and had a variety of enemies, and it was in Downtown Park. I mean, who doesn't like to defend against the giant spider invasion in the Downtown Park? You don't like it? Well, get the fuck out. I can do this myself. And the gameplay is usually pretty simple. Kill all the bugs, or run to an area while being attacked by bugs, and then kill some more anyway. It's highly repetitive. It is very, very simple. But if you like Dynasty Warriors or anything like it, if you like Madden, you're familiar with repetition.
Yes.
What's the upshot? The upshot is the weaponry is pretty crazy. These two weapons that I have here, I have never used them before. I got them in a tier unlock within this system, the series. I purchased them and I took them out for a test drive. So far, they feel like winners. Spread shot missile launchers. A pretty reasonably powerful rapid-fire rifle with some tracking capacity. Good stuff. Lots of fun, pretty effective, seems to be working alright. Sometimes, you have to load into the level and quit because what you picked up is bullshit. And this is okay, this is part of the game's charm. It's kind of like Dark Souls, but not. It's very forgiving. It just takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out your groove and see if you like it or not. And if you hate it, That's okay. You can turn it off, leave it alone. Plenty of other fish in the sea. But I have a fondness for this series because it has a certain hypnotic charm of putting round after round into big, monstrous, spidery things. Also, not manticores, excuse me, praying mantises, robotic wasps, giant walkers, and in a minute here, we're going to be repelling an air invasion.
Ooh, of what?
Of what? You will see. You will see.
Suspense is killing me.
As you can see, we've lost our command tent. We still have the turrets, which we aren't using, but maybe should. This is an anti-air gun. It doesn't aim down very well. But boy, it sure does take down those structures. I said take down those structures. I said, never mind. Let me show you how it's done.
Damn you, Napoleon. And your sturdy Arcade Triumph.
Sturdy indeed. Worthy of a conqueror like Napoleon. We're about to progress in the wave. What can I say? You defend the city by blowing it down. The buildings just dissolve into rubble when you miss an errant shot, and that's enough to get me hooked. Now, the newest entry in the series, 4.1, has more stylism of the classes. It's more like the classic game that I enjoy. This entry, relatively speaking, is kind of lame by comparison.
What just happened?
You got introduced to a new enemy. Also, air invasion. You sometimes have to drop off carriers that shit troops on you, and your job is to shit on them harder than they hit you. With weak spots. Now these are proxies, they're dummies, we don't have to kill these, they go away. But one legitimate carrier does come up. We've got to wreck its day. The advantage, or the appeal of getting new weaponry in the game is that you don't know what you're getting, just by name, but not by what you're getting, when you pick up the box. And in the main game, the main series, the 2017, and, hey, Shadow, and the 4.1, you just pick up a box, and at the end of the level you have a screen with a bunch of names on it, and hopefully something on there is decent. To give you a comparison, in this game, the heavy trooper gets heavy rifles, shotguns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers. These are cool, these are fine. The fencer gets melee weapons. You might be asking yourself, ladies and gentlemen, how would you use melee weapons in this situation? Well, hopefully you don't go full melee, first of all, but the character has 2 weapon loadouts. Just switch them on the fly. So you want to pick up heavy artillery, or big barrage rockets, or just endless chain guns, you can do that. Then you get a nice, big, heavy pneumatic axe. Big hatchet, big spear.
Axe?
Yes.
Holy shit.
No, it will cross the park and damage, just a big ripple wave of hurt. It's stupid, but it's cool. I mean, the trade-off is that it's super slow. Like, the way I'm ambling around right now, jet thrusting around, you can't do that as the fencer. You have to use hops on your jets to kind of like sidle along, or just lug it really, really slowly. And it's not for everyone. That's why they give you classes, because most people like to play heavy and fast. Class something right now is my least favorite, to be honest with you. But most people do enjoy the freedom of taking to the skies and raining explosive death on everyone. That's all right.
You don't seem to be able to do it much, though, and that's the only issue. Like, that's...
Not yet. Because what I'm wielding, while it's really helpful that the rockets are multi-tracking and such, it doesn't have a lot of feeling of punch to it, which I completely acknowledge. Once again, Insect Armageddon is not the best in the series. But I did happen to find a patch to make it to run 60 FPS, which changes everything. Now it's a lot more smooth to control, doesn't feel as limiting, and you're still taking on many, many, many foes. Now, if this appeals to you, great. Listen to what I'm saying. Get 4.1. More classes, more cheesiness, terrible voice acting, like consistently terrible voice acting, and intentionally. We're talking RE1 levels, pretty much.
Damn.
Here we have a white scientist and what sounds like a Hindi tech support woman as your primary contacts that will announce what's happening out there in the world. But you know how Barry talks stiltedly? You're in the middle of just a giant bust-up fight, and they say, "Ah, perhaps we are the invaders into their world. Who are we to say what is right? Are we playing God?" I mean, this level of melodrama. It's silly. It is gross.
Ham up the cheese factor there a little bit?
Ham on the cheese. There's ham in the cheese, and then the ham again past that cheese. They double hammed it. How? Couldn't say. Now let's go chasing rainbows.
Reading rainbows?
No, these don't read.
Ah.
These are apostate rainbows.
Gotcha.
It's gonna come down. It's gonna come down. I'm gonna catch it right in the face. Yes! Do it! Embrace me like 1,000 suns! Where are you going? Come back. I love you. Come back to me. Oh, it's past the level boundary.
Porque...
Guess I'm gonna go home now. Ah!
Bright light.
Now, make no mistake, sometimes when the big things hit you, it hurts and sometimes it just kills. In this case, no, it's all cosmetic. But I mean, is this not cool? At least to some degree.
It's all right. I do like the bullets bouncing off shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of neat. I'll give it that. That is kind of neat.
It takes... It's very much a kind of like campy game. Indie campy. I love it because of how zany the weapons can get. Things fire in corkscrews, or the bullets explode, or you get one mine that launches more mines out of it as you fire it off. It's nuts! This is not practical shit.
A mine launcher that shoots mine launcher?
Yes. Pretty much. There was one weapon in Borderlands 2 that did that. Like, it perpetually fires rockets out of the rocket. This game is not afraid. They'll fire 3 in a row sometimes. As I mentioned, the Turtle, it's a launcher that's early on in the game. It's a low-tier weapon, but it's so powerful that they give it to you. But they say, hey, just so you know, this thing moves slow enough that you might by accident sprint into it when it fires. Or, it's a lock-on launcher that takes 8 seconds to get a lock onto something, and you lazily fire it into the air. And it will travel towards the target. And when it gets there, you will have beaten it there and cleared the day and said, I win! And it hits you in the back of the head.
Have you ever seen the Moon Knight episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
No.
Where they make the moon cannon. And Carl's like, and they shoot it. And it's like, oh no, it's coming out with you all 3-dimensional power. And it's like, boop. Just moves very slowly. Carl's like, oh no. About 2 minutes later, Carl steps to the side. He's like, you missed. It bounces off his door and hits him in the back and kills him. I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of the weapon you're talking about.
Yes. It's full of goofs. Full of it. To give you a brief demonstration, like this is usually the happy scream. This is something new. You go, oh cool, a new gun to try out. But it's always highly, highly speculative. But if you were to pick a class and say, let me go into your armaments, what is it that you have on here? Oh, you have a some sort of energy machine gun. Well, in this particular game, they give you a list of tiers. And this is locked off by levels, which is not the case in the main series. The nuclear markers are ones for our DLC pack that was just kind of thrown in the game last moment. That here, have these goofy weapons that look cool but don't always behave rationally.
So the Charizard of weapons.
I would say so. You have your stats in the upper right. You have damage, you have rate of fire, which all vary in scale. Sometimes very hard-hitting weapons fire very slowly. Other times they just go weird. One of the launchers says this forward-thinking company made a lock-on launcher that tracks silica-based life forms, but the Ravagers are carbon-based. So you have a lock-on launcher that can't track for shit. How nice is that?
Nice.
Yeah, they don't change visually, which to me is a missed opportunity, but I get it. If there's 100-some weapons, you can't really run them all. The sprites change, but the guns stay the same on your character. But for this class, for example, there's no shotgun variant for the Trooper. There is, however, a rocket launcher, missile launcher, a grenade launcher, and a sniper rifle.
It looks like an oven mitt.
You would want, what's that?
I thought it was an oven mitt.
An oven mitt?
Get an assault rifle, a missile launcher, a nuclear warhead, and an oven mitt.
Well, it's very swattable. It would kill the enemies, no problem. Nuclear weapons. But in the level we just saw, with all the things coming at us, what good is a sniper rifle?
Jack shit.
Well, supposedly, if you have teammates playing with you, you could use it to hit the weak spots of a big thing, while everyone else is distracting the peon forces. Playing by yourself, not the best way to play this.
When did R. Kelly get involved in this?
He fell in the Second War with the Ravagers.
Well, you said peon this.
Yes.
So, I was just assuming that R. Kelly was going to be involved.
It was a secret weapon. We remember fondly. He's in the 3rd stanza of the EDF hidden. Because he sold his life dearly. And just as a brief look, the Trooper, which is your standard Ranger fighter, which is what you play with in the game that I'm familiar with, and they still have the most weaponry. Tactical, which has low carbines, and turrets, which, again, feel lame in this one, but feel much better in the newer versions. And the Battle Toad, if you will, which holds a single weapon and a shield, and as I mentioned, the Fencer in the newest version carries 2 guns, and then 2 more guns you can switch off at the press of a button. If you jam down both triggers and miniguns, your reticle just shoots up in the sky. You can barely fight the recoil, but it feels sweet. Then the buildings start to melt down. You go, I'm helping! And you kind of gradually veer to the left, strafing everything, hoping to clip the enemy by accident. It's the best. But, ladies and gents, Earth Defense Force, Insect Armageddon, it's pretty cheap right now. It's pretty easy to obtain, $20 most platforms. If you're on PC, get that 60 FPS patch. It's really going to help out. If you're on PlayStation, if you're part of the PlayStation Now program, I think it's just included in the list, isn't it?
It is. It's $20 a month for it. You get your first month free, then $20 a month.
Yep. Decent service, lots of games.
A whole lot of games.
If you like anything about this is one of those on there. If you like this one, great. Check the other 900 games.
Yep.
All right. Browbeat.
Nutchucks.
See you next time.
Deuces.